Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Traitors RHAP podcast. We're here to talk about Traitors Canada episode 4 and everything that went down in this episode or didn't go down in this episode. We'll definitely get into it. I have thoughts. I'm ready to go. I'm, of course, your host, Pooya and Brian Scally, the Sultan of Suspicion. And with me, as always, and I'm not sorry about him being here, is my lovely co-host, Brian Scally. Scally, how you doing?
Hello. It took my opening, so but I'm good. I'm excited to be here. After a little bit of an incomplete episode, but still a fun one nonetheless.
The episode was fun. I enjoyed all of the interactions. We're finally getting the messes amping up, the drama's amping up, the accusations are flying, the strategy is strategizing, and then we got banishment blue balls, which I did not see coming. I did not expect this. And here's the thing. I would have rather it happened before we saw some of the votes too, because you really brought me there. And then you said, goodbye.
Yeah, it's very unlike any Canadian reality TV shows to be doing stuff like this right at the last minute. But I think that for me, it was not like I was watching this thinking like, oh, this is a lot of fluff, or there's like stuff that we could have skipped past. So the whole time I was engaged, and then I was like, wow, it's about to be a really quick vote and banishment all of a sudden towards the end, not even remembering that usually we'll get to Traitors Tower and hear their initial thoughts too. So, I wasn't mad at the episode, feeling like they stretched this out on purpose, but now, retrospectively, well, sad.
I think sad's the operative word, because it's not like I'm angry at them. I'm just upset that I didn't get the finishing, really is what it is. And I feel like this is an interesting setup going into next week, because ultimately we're going to get the results of the banishment. I'm assuming we're going to get a recruitment next week to start the episode. And then I'm really hoping we get another banishment, and then we're back on the cycle of 2 eliminations per episode.
I think we will be. I maybe have like a little bit of a theory as to why we did this. But I think the Traitors Canada will get back on track. I hope this is not a regular thing that we see for, I mean, really any of the franchises moving forward. I can't think of any other Traitors episode where they've done this.
I can't think of any either, but even if they had in the other franchises, because you would get 2 to 3 episode drops a week, you would be satisfied. Of course, you'd still be left being like, I got cliffhangered, but you'd have 2 episodes to like digest. Whereas here we have only the 42 minutes to digest, and then we're waiting a whole week to get to that next result, which is, again, a very slower burn than any of these other franchises.
Yeah. Thinking about waiting a week, I'm gonna be upset. And it's just like, I understand the concept of like making sure people want to tune in, but by next week, it's like, all right, we'll figure out real quick and then like move on. And then I feel like you almost do that person a disservice.
Right. So we're going to get into everything. We are, of course, live on YouTube right now. If anyone would like to submit any questions for us at the end of the episode recap, feel free to do so. We'll answer some of your questions at the very end. And we will be talking to our one murdered contestant tomorrow in the exit interview. So if you have any questions for that person, you can find me on Twitter at Puyism. You can find Scally at Brian_Scally. You could even use the tweet that we did that we're going live that I just put out, and just reply underneath that, and then we'll have that moving forward to ask some questions tomorrow to Scally, our murdered contestant, who I had all wrong last episode. Gurpyar was murdered. I thought Gurpyar would get recruited. So look at me being wrong.
We didn't even theorize on who would be murdered. We were like, the episode was leading up to a recruitment. It's so obvious. But no, they were just like immediately like, absolutely, we're not doing that. Absolutely, we're never doing that. And I think that often that's what I would expect out of like 2 traitors so early in the game. Like there's not really a need to recruit right away. But yeah, it was blindsided here.
Very much so. So we end on, my immediate thought was, I don't know if I think this is a good idea. I really don't. I feel like there's 2 of you early in the game. Keep as many names into the mix as possible, because the more they shoot and they think they've got it right and you're safe, the better. Like, for example, if I'm Kuzi, my name's not coming up, get another person in the mix. Why not? And also get another reality person in the mix, so that, because people are going to start thinking, okay, who's the reality traitor? Because there's got to be one of them, at least, that is that. Ultimately, though, they decide, no, we're in a good spot. We're not going to go ahead and recruit. Let's murder another one. Their shortlist ends up being Gurpyar or Kevin, which I thought was interesting. Kevin, because he's confirmed not to be a traitor at this point, being the one who really spearheads the Melissa B elimination. And Kuzi also mentions Crystal, who would be confirmed not a traitor based on the interaction with Mel B.
Crystal was an interesting one, and she wasn't really on my radar for a murder, but I did very much understand it. I think that's probably a murder we could see coming in the future. Now, Mike immediately jumping to Gurpyar. Pooya, do you like the move? I'm curious.
It's such a risky move to murder. Your name just got brought up by this person, to murder this person, and for them theorizing that if we take out Gurpyar, they will think no shot Mike is bad, because why in the world would Mike murder the one person who named him? That is way too suspicious. Therefore, it is absolutely ridiculous and asinine to even think that. So
in general, I'll say on paper, I kind of like this move. I like something risky. I feel like the double bluff has not really been played effectively in the Traitors universe, like across the world. I don't think that we have seen someone make a move like that, and so you see where Mike does get a little bit of goodwill, where people are like, you know what, I actually think you're like 90% probably a faithful. It seems too obvious. Like, that doesn't seem like a good move. So I do like the move in theory, but when that Kevin Martin is on the table to be murdered and you don't murder that Kevin Martin, I think you're making a mistake.
A big one, because, and I think I can't decide which episode is more Kevin's coming out party, like Kevin's like real showing on the episode, because I felt like this was a really strong Kevin episode as well. Despite Kevin's name not being in the mix as a suspicion, I thought he brought the drama. I loved that he was very willing to let people be messy and just watch from the sidelines. But yeah, the longer you keep him, the worse it is. But at the same time, if you're Kuzi, I can't start having these reality people leave one by one, because eventually they'll look at me.
And that's why I go back to what I wanted them to do last week and recruit Rick. I know he's not necessarily a reality person, but he is like a well-known personality coming into the game. He's another male traitor if they were to recruit him for Mike. So I felt like you really just two birds, one stone. Go ahead, bring Rick in. All the suspicions already on him, so maybe he gets out before either of you, and you don't have to worry about that either. So I thought it satisfied a lot of the boxes that people are now theorizing around. But no, instead they decided murdering was the right move, and Gurpyar of all people.
Gurpyar is now gone, had some good reads, was not scared to put them out there, and ultimately pays that price by getting murdered. So the thing is with Breakfast, Gurpyar getting murdered, poor Gurpyar, even his funeral he's not the star of his own funeral. The star of his funeral is May and Rick, because these two from the jump are very much in each other's faces going into this episode. May especially had a huge episode here, kind of going a little scorched earth. I think May, we saw in after the first banishment, saying, obviously we all have a bunch of names we don't want to put out there because no one wants to be that person. By this next episode, puts out a name, ends up voting incorrectly as well. By now here is very unapologetic about who she thinks is the traitor.
Remember in that first round table when they were like, May's gonna draw a target onto herself, we don't have to worry. We were like, wow, what's she gonna do? This is what she's gonna do. It was fun. I'm not complaining. May brought a lot to this episode. You said, they're in each other's face as much as they can be from across the table. Rick being real shady, being like, oh yeah, and on your show, did you win your show? Remind me. Like, oh.
Let me tell you, did I have Sassy Rick the Temp on my bingo card? No, I did not. That was a roast and a half. It was a cooking show. It wasn't even like it was a social deduction show. So not quite the one for one, but the shade is shade and it works.
Yep, doesn't matter. How many of the people watching the show know exactly where May is from? Probably a good amount, but not everybody. So especially for those people, I think it lands. I mean, just reminding someone that they lost something is never a fun jab for them. So I think it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I love this comment by Oliver. She got rickrolled.
Rolled by
Never
Rick.
Gonna give you up. Yeah, okay. So ultimately, Gurpyar's out. May is putting some sus on Rick, but May's not alone. There are quite a few people that think Rick is a traitor, especially what seems to be a new duo forming, a new partnership here in May and Fierce. Fierce is very much in the Rick is a traitor camp as well.
It was really funny of Fierce to be like, well, that was stupid of Mike, unless it was Rick. I was like, oh, okay. Like I at first thought, wow, Fierce is really seeing through this. But no, we move back onto Rick. Even Mary has jumped in and apologized to May about not having her back at the round table, saying that she will, I am your sword tonight. I'm fully on board with you. So I expected Mary to play a little bit bigger of a role in tonight's episode, but Fierce and May end up being the real duo of the night.
Yeah, Mary bringing up the sword, the episode being heavy on the shield. I thought, am I watching the Big Brother 24 finale tonight? What's going on? Yeah, ultimately, Scally, to answer your question from earlier, once again, was this a good move to take out Gerpiar? And obviously, their thought is, if we take him out, they'll think you were framed. They will not think you're bad. Pays off dividends. And really, I think the key is, it only pays off dividends if someone else comes up with that theory themselves independently. You can't push it. Like if you're Mike, you can't be sitting there with Fierce and saying, oh, you know what? I bet you they took out Gerpiar so that people would think I'm a traitor, but I'm not a traitor. They have to come up independently to it. And I feel like that happened. So it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, they came away from last week where they were like, obviously someone's trying to frame Donna, and we wouldn't let poor Donna be framed. And then this time it's like, well, Mike, did you do this to yourself? Like, there is some suspicion still drawn onto him. You don't want to be a topic of conversation at all. And so I think that this is a move that could be really fun, could be good for you, but I am still like, I'm watching to see how it goes. Ultimately for Kuzi, whatever you want to do, Mike. You want to take this risk? Go ahead. Doesn't matter to me. So for Kuzi, great move. Like no problem. Keeps the attention off of her completely, and keeps someone who seems to be becoming a little bit of a traitor hunter out of the game. So love it for Kuzi. I'm still waiting to see for Mike.
Yeah, Kuzi does ultimately have a plan where she shares in confessional that she wants to recruit a reality star tonight to get them booted immediately, basically. Someone who can be so suspicious that you get out. So here's my theory, Scally. My theory is Rick is not getting banished at the end of this episode, at the start of the roundtable. Now, obviously, he very well could, and I could be wrong 2 weeks in a row, which is a rare occurrence, but I'll take an L where I have it. But I think if Rick survives the banishment tonight, Rick is the prime candidate to be recruited because he will not get murdered. That will be suspicious, and he still has so much suspicious on him that he can go in the next episode.
Your Honor, forgive me for maybe metagaming it a little bit, but I am wondering, are we going to get Rick banished tonight? And they're like, all right, let's get one more week of saying that Rick's on the show. We could put him in the ads, he's still posted on Instagram. And then next week when they recruit, well, we'll still have 2 boots anyway, because Rick will be the first boot, and then someone else will also get voted out that night, and they recruited someone. So it's fine. So I could very well see Rick being the recruit. I could also see May becoming that recruit.
That's the other person if Rick isn't there. I agree 100%. I think May is the other candidate that could get recruited, especially after her showing this episode. I think she's an easy get because basically we end the episode. Let's skip to the end real quick. We end the episode with a total of 5 votes. 2 votes for Rick, 2 votes for Trevon, 1 vote May. I don't think May's going anywhere.
No,
so
I don't think so either.
If Rick leaves, I think May gets recruited. If Rick doesn't leave, May could still get recruited or Rick, but I do think it's one of the 2 of them. They fit the bill that Kuzi laid out.
Yeah, I would probably bet on Rick in that case. Like I said, 2 birds, 1 stone. It is another guy for Mike, another reality TV person for Kuzi. So, and someone who seems like they're probably have a lot of eyes on them regardless. So I do think that was their best option on the table at a time, but it's going to come down to if he can survive this week.
That's really all it comes down to. Oh, I mean, let's put an outside chance of Fierce getting recruited. I don't think so. but Fierce could be in the mix because I still think Fierce was a very vocal reality star as well here that was both vocal and wrong, which is kind of perfect.
I could see it. I don't know if I like it. I feel like Fierce is pretty well insulated so far.
That part.
You do take the element of Fierce randomly throwing out names off the table, where she will still probably be randomly throwing out names, but they're not as likely to be yours if she knows who to avoid throwing out, at least if you are recruiting Fierce, because I think she will continue to be a very active player. But I don't know. I would put her firmly 3 out of 3 in terms of the rankings of who's most likely to be recruited.
Easily, because I think ultimately she is, like you said, I think of the 3, the least likely to get banished, which is what, if you're following Kuzi's playbook, Kuzi wants them to get banished. Fierce would be picking the hard difficulty when easy and medium are right there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, we can move on forward from the breakfast and jump into the next scene here, where should we talk about the challenge, or do you want to skip that for now?
May as well get out of the way.
All right, it's time to go to Peridium's perch and talk about the challenge. We've seen this before. There's an airplane landing. There's 2 sides to the landing strip. One side has one team, the other side has the other team. Each team has a captain. They have to describe what puzzle shape they have to form on the landing strip. If both sides do it right, the plane lands. They get $2,000. They get 3 shots. So up to 6,000 can be made. But there's a side mission in all this that's actually more important. The shield, the armory, is officially in play in Traitors Canada, and the winning team gets its shot at the shield.
I thought it was an interesting wrinkle because it also created the opportunity for people to make more mistakes because they were rushing trying to beat the other team on this rather than just trying to make sure that they got it correct. So I think it was, fun enough. It's not a challenge. It's one that we've seen before, but I don't feel like it's been used on every iteration, on every season that we've seen. So a nice one to revisit at least. And I think it also did bring good drama.
It did bring good drama. That's the thing with this challenge, is that the armory coming in is a fun wrinkle into everything. And then also it does set up a bit of the argument that we get later on. The key here being knowing who's on what team, and specifically knowing that May was on the same team as Rick, and May was the team captain, meaning May was the one calling out the puzzle and not being able to touch any pieces, but having to direct everybody to do so. The red team, which Kevin was the team captain for, ultimately ends up winning. And the May and Rick team loses 2-1. They were able to only get $2,000. So also poor showing in the challenge overall for the teams here. And that sets up that from the challenge. We can now move on.
Yes. I mean, it does lead into Rick thinking that May actually might have thrown the challenge, which is an interesting wrinkle.
Yeah. So Rick thinks that May threw the challenge because May doesn't want Rick to get the shield, because then Rick cannot get murdered, I guess. I think ultimately his worry was that she wants 2 shots at me because May could be the traitor.
It's an interesting theory. When it is mostly presented as May wants me not to have the shield because she's convincing everyone I'm a traitor, and everyone else is thinking that, so she wants me to be available for murder, but people who have a lot of suspicion on them don't get murdered.
It
makes me really think that it doesn't matter if you have the shield or not. Like, we're trying to vote you out tonight. I don't care about you. Won't be here to be murdered.
Yeah, and I feel like ultimately it was just the fact is that Rick and May also drove to the challenge together, and Rick was like, "Hey, so we're good, right? You and I are good." And May's like, "Well, I still think it's you. I still suspect you." He's like, "No. But I mean personally, still suspect me. That's fine. But on a personal level, we're good." She's like, "Yeah, we're good." So it still doesn't change anything. There's still suspicions there, and I feel like it's just one of those unfortunate situations where Rick even at one point says he doesn't think May is a traitor. So, but when you're getting attacked, you got to defend. And Rick's interesting in the way he defends, because like we said earlier, he can roast, he can cook, he can be a little mean, and it works. But then also he's very calm and tries to be friendly. Like he doesn't want to attack you, but when he attacks you, it comes off very vicious, but then otherwise he's just cool, which is kind of like villainy a little bit. So much so that later on in the roundtable, when both him and Trevon are getting sussed, Trevon is spiraling out of control and Rick is just chilling. And they're like, that seems suspect, man.
Yeah, but it's like people use it as like evidence on both sides, and that's like the thing about the traitors is so much of it is confirmation bias. It's really interesting. I understand from like really both of their perspectives. When you think that you are a pretty good player at one of these games and you think your reads are correct, and then like someone is refusing to listen to your logic and something that you think is super obvious is just not computing with them, like, yeah, I might talk down to them a little bit. And so I think that's what's happening here. Rick is just like getting a little frustrated, and then like May gets frustrated, but it just comes out differently. She ends up like walking away and getting a little emotional. So people handle things differently, but it was funny to kind of watch them both having the same problem, just dealing with it in different ways.
Yeah. So meanwhile, let's rewind back real quick to pre-challenge, pre-drive to the challenge even, and talk about May some more, who ends up being the team captain here. May was talking, I think, Gurleen, and says, everyone who voted Mel B, good for you guys. Like, you did good, but I'm a target now. Like, I'm in a bad spot. I don't feel good. Gurleen does big her up and says, May, I love the way you spoke and the way you carry yourself. Like, you are good. You are good. You're fine with me.
Glad to get a little bit of Gurleen finally. We got her here and during the breakfast, theorizing if someone was recruited. It'd be nice to get some confessionals there, but I think that seeing her and May's relationship at least was cute.
Yeah, I'm happy to see Gurleen back, like not back, but so much so really starting to be put into the show some more. At this point, let's quickly look at the board here. Who do you think is the most under-edited / we've seen the least of?
I think it's Dom.
I still think we've seen more of Dom because of the whole thing with Dom and Colin. That's funny. But the whole Dom and Colin stuff with Fierce in that early, before Colin gets banished, with Donna, the miscommunication. So we had that. I feel like Melissa A is getting not a lot of specific content, but is getting talked about and is at least referenced.
That I agree with. I think that she's getting a little bit of airtime. I believe I saw a confessional chart, and that's not the only way to measure airtime to this point. But Mel A has like a sneaky little couple of confessionals, whereas I believe Dom still had 0 through 3 episodes of TV. So I was pulling on maybe a little bit of figures and facts when saying Dom.
Yeah, I feel like Mickey has also vanished for the most part. Like someone brought his name up as a potential. I think Rick said in his 3 people he sussed, Mickey was on that list. But other than that, Mickey was also gone this episode. And Donna really went from like kind of the star / first boo like edit to under the radar once again.
Yeah, still a star, but just a little quieter. We're standing from the background right now. But Donna still, I mean, she got like a couple of lines at the round table, but otherwise she has definitely taken a backseat.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, Melissa had a lot of confessionals last episode. We'll appreciate that, LM. I may have forgotten. All right. Oh, Mary's also someone I will say, though, that episode 1, I feel like her and Kevin were linking up, and I thought that Mary was going to be a big presence, and has kind of also gone into the background a little bit in the last while.
I would say that most people, like outside of Kevin, like the Traitors, Kevin, Fierce, and Rick, probably, people have had like their ebbs and flows. Like we didn't really see Crystal that much in the first 2 episodes, I feel like, and then she's been a pretty big part of episodes 3 and 4. So I'm hoping that at least people pop back up, here and there, but a little balance would also be nice.
Yeah. Also important to note that May had a strong bond with Gurpyar, and losing Gurpyar definitely hit her in the feels, and really is what starts the potential unraveling of May. Still yet to be confirmed whether that's where we're going. But yeah, Rick's sus list is Trevon, Mickey, and May. 3 people who didn't vote for Mel B. One of them is bad, according to Rick.
Yeah, and it's always a risk when you are a traitor going ahead and voting for your fellow traitor, but at the same time, the traitors are so motivated to actually blend in that like the votes are so difficult to read. You get two fellow traitors voting out Mel B, and so you're looking at the completely wrong pool of people when you're looking at the people that didn't vote for her. So it's complicated. Nothing's ever perfect.
No. Okay, let's talk about our degree in sports media moment of the episode. Trevon, who has been lying about his job for the whole season, saying I'm a server, chooses now to say, I lied about my job. I actually work in PR. And this is because Trevon feels like May has caught on to him lying about his job and has now decided I need to get in front of it before anyone else does.
This was so wild. I mean, they're like, why now, Trevon? He's like, well, I felt like if any of you found out I was lying, then you would look at me as untrustworthy. It's like, so you told us that you were lying. Like, so now we all think you're untrustworthy. Like,
yeah.
No one found out. How are we going to find this out?
That's the thing. It's like, so did you tell any, Delawrence was like, did you tell anybody you were not a server? He's like, no. It's like, then how would anyone know? At best, it's someone speculating. You would have been fine, Trevon. I don't think you needed to say anything there. Honestly, if I was him, I would have lied, and I would have lied about a different job altogether if I'm lying. I mean, why not at that point, The triple lie. They wouldn't think you lied twice about the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not a server. I'm actually also a bus driver, like Colin. Yeah, no, PR? No, never heard of it.
So that happened, which honestly is really what puts Trevon under the line of fire at the round table.
Mm-hmm. And that's honestly, if the banishment had come in this episode, felt like it was almost trending in that direction. Like, yeah, the Rick stuff started, even if Rick doesn't think his name is going to be big at the round table, it felt like it started moving away from Rick and more towards Trevon. So I don't know if maybe the round table had gone a little bit longer, if that would have been the case, or if we are going to see Trevon ultimately voted out here.
Yeah. Here's what I will say. I truly, truly, truly hope when we get back to episode 5 next week, it opens up with suspense in that it's a close vote. I would absolutely despise if then the next 15 votes are all Rick. And I was like, all right, well, that was for naught. But that's probably what it was, though, given that we ended on a 2-1. So,
yeah, yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
This is as even as it's going to be for the rest of the vote, I think.
Exactly. Okay, so here's the situation. Let's go to the armory real quick. There are 7 people that can be in the running for the shield. And all I was looking for, Scally, I was looking for the Annabelle of the group. Who is going to pause everyone and say, hey, we do not tell anybody who got the shield. That way we're all safe and we're all Gucci. Seemed like a lot of them were on the same page, but Gerline said it first. So I'm gonna look at Gerline and be like, you did it.
My Gerline, yes, very much that. I was very proud to see that she had the strategy. So hoping that she, came in here prepared.
Yeah. So ultimately, of all the people that could have gotten the shield goes to our traitor, Kuzi. Kuzi has the shield, nullifying it if she really wants. But here's my question to you, Mr. Scally. The shield is in play. They're going to recruit most likely at the end of the start of the next episode. That just nullifies the shield anyway, correct? And then the shield goes back into play. Or let's say if Faithful had gotten the shield, they would have had it until the next murder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I'm very curious to see how Kuzi plays this, because I think it would be a big mistake of like, okay, we're going to recruit because we could say that I was attempted to be killed or something like that. Like, you
we've seen that dance before.
Yeah, once or twice. So I think that having the shield, it was ultimately not really where I was hoping Kuzi would end up, especially if they decide to murder, if they decide to recruit. I think that it's like, they're going to be like, they will not get confirmation on whether someone was recruited or someone took a shot at Kuzi. So I think that people are going to be speculating based off of her having the shield more than they would otherwise. So I would hope she actually would just not reveal it at all.
Yeah, this is So this is an interesting thing you threw in here. I do not think she's going to go by the way of, I was saved by the shield. I don't think that's going to happen. What I think is more likely to happen is basically a clean recruit someone to get them booted immediately. And I was about to say, I think something important that Kuzi said in this episode that we haven't talked about is that during breakfast where they were speculating how many traitors are left? Kuzi was one of the ones who was like, oh yeah, it could be 4. I guess then that means 3 are still here. I think that's a smart move on her part so that when they do recruit, it doesn't seem like, okay, there's less or more, or it keeps them guessing. Obviously, at this point, I think safe to say if there's 20 people, there'll be 3 traitors. If there's more, there might be a 4th one. Because I don't think outside of AU1, we have started with 4 traitors. Every other season has had 3.
On the English-speaking ones that I have been able to watch,
Yes.
that is, been the case. Now, I am just worried. I wonder also, Pooya, what do you think about ever taking a shot into the group that went into the armory if you are a traitor within that group?
I think that is a mistake. I think so here's the thing. If you take a shot at someone in the armory and you're holding the shield, obviously you could always just not disclose you had it and get away with it. But if people figure out, because typically what we see is the breakfast happens and the person who had the shield is like, look what I had last night, baby. I got to sleep real easy. So I think if you are known to have had the shield, do not murder. Because I think bad time is going to be had because no one else would have known that the other people were available for murdering. So you don't do it. I think we've seen it in other franchises where you have to gamble maybe and you take the shot because you're like, if I can take this person out, then these other 2 people who were in the armory might be sussed. So I think that's fine. Blind iteming a little bit might be worth the gamble. But right now, because one traitor is on either side of the coin, don't do it. But if both of them were on the blue team, I would say give it a gamble. There's enough people here, you're fine. Especially if they have a 3rd traitor among them recruited. Like, let's say Melissa B wasn't eliminated and the shield had gotten introduced. Why not? Take a risk. Take a risk and cause more mayhem.
That's my thing, is there's so much talk of, like, I never want to establish a pattern. I want to mix things up. I want to keep people on their toes. So I am kind of pro taking a shot in the group just to throw people off. But like, just try everything once, like throw it at the wall and see what sticks, unless you yourself actually do get the shield. So when Kuzi got that shield, I was like, do not shoot in the group. Like, that is when you don't. If you don't have it, like, worst that happens is you attempt to murder and like, oh well, we'll do it the next round. Who cares? Yeah.
And I think ultimately, baseline, I think it's just better to never reveal you have the shield. Like, if I won the shield at the armory, obviously we're not telling anybody on the other team so that we're all protected, but I'm not coming into breakfast the next day with it around my neck. I'd rather you didn't know that I won it. I'd rather it doesn't seem like I'm lucky or whatever. We have seen instances where the same person wins the shield a couple times. I don't want any of that mojo on me. Let's pretend that, yeah, someone got it. We don't know who.
No, I agree with that. I don't see any real added benefit to admitting that you had the shield other than like a moment of screen time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not the juice is not worth the squeeze, folks. At least that's where we are landing here with it. So ultimately Kuzi gets the shield, so Kuzi can do whatever she wants with it. I don't think okay, I guess did we answer the question? Does the shield carry over if no one is murdered?
I don't think so.
It gets nullified.
Not to my knowledge. Yeah.
I mean, it would be weird if it carried over, because then that would confirm whether or not there was a recruitment or a protected murder.
I mean, think about, was it AU2 or was it New Zealand? I don't remember. Where there was a shield in play every round, and like that didn't carry over when there were recruitments. So I would imagine.
Yeah, you're right.
That one round.
All right. Yeah. Well, I love that the first shield did not matter. Ultimately. Okay. Yeah. So what was interesting is that later on, we do see that May was blaming her vote on Melissa A. That Melissa A is the reason May ended up voting that way. And May kept saying, well, no one else brought up Rick's name. I wanted to do Rick, but I didn't do it. And I was like, May, I thought you were ready to just say what you
Right?
want to say. Say it with
That's
chest.
Yeah, May her whole thing was like, "I was swayed and I went with the group and I won't do that again." It's like, well, you just went with a smaller group. Like,
Yeah.
so, I get fighting against that for what you want, but doing it just for the sake of not voting with the group doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and I think Mel A found it weird because Mel A had said that I've never really had a concrete convo with May before, so I don't know why she would go with what I have to say.
Yeah, and surprising.
Yeah. What else was surprising to me is that Mike thinks recruiting's not the right move. We obviously didn't see the Traitors Tower, but it was in passing we see it get mentioned. I think Mike feels really good about the duo and thinks they can ride it out. And we've seen this on other franchises where the Traitors are feeling themselves like, oh, we're fine now, we're coasting. But I think in the debate of do you go with what Mike's doing and just hold the two and just keep murdering? I'm of the mindset of no, absolutely go with what Kuzi's doing. Recruit someone who's bait to get murdered immediately, and then maybe later down the line recruit someone who you want to like end game it with if you want to recruit.
Yeah, I think that recruiting as little as possible is ideal. I mean, I want to be operating with more information than as many people as possible. So having to recruit someone that I'm probably going to have to betray later so that I can be a sole winner because I'm not splitting my money doesn't sound ideal. So I understand not wanting to recruit someone that you're eventually going to have to betray, but Kuzi gets the best of both worlds. We recruit and then we betray them immediately so that they don't have to
Mhm.
deal with them later. Like that seems like a good compromise.
Yeah, yeah. The more we're talking right now, the more I'm wondering if Kuzi would play it as if she survived a murder, because
Mm.
if she plays that she survived a murder, then they still maybe assume there's two traitors. But also, I don't think it matters because let's say she recruits a May and they banish May. They're like, oh, we thought May was sus for like 3 rounds. So May was an OG traitor anyway. She's not the one recruited. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
that
tough.
would be so good, such good TV if May gets recruited. It'd be such good TV.
I'd be very happy. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of bad options on the table as far as recruitment here. I think that there's a ton of fun people on this cast where even if we haven't seen a lot of them, I think it'll be fun. But especially the people that we assume are going to be recruited, I think would create very good TV.
There are some bad options.
Ooh, interesting.
So anyway, Crystal is suspect of Mike for opening the convo with Mel B at the round table. And this was very interesting. I'm loving the tiny bits we're seeing from Crystal. Crystal's clearly not in a position where she's being put in as like a star of like the faithfuls, but is subtly being hinted at it. And I love that. Crystal is the only person, because you and I not only discussed this on the last week's episode, then we asked Mel B at the exit interview whether that was rehearsed. Got the confirmation that it was not. But Crystal is us. Crystal is me. Like she gets it.
Mhm. That's the thing is I think that it was like a plan for Mike for whether it was to help Mel B or to help himself. I think it was a play.
I
And
think it wasn't
so,
rehearsed with the two of them, but I think he
yes.
went in knowing he wanted that spot.
And again, I don't know if his intention was like, I'm going to give Mel B a chance to defend herself, or I'm going to visibly be one of the people targeting Mel B so that when she gets voted out, I gain a lot of, a lot of the credit for this. So good on Crystal for seeing it for what I think it was. And I think that if they were to decide to murder, we say keeping in Kevin is a mistake generally, but Crystal seems to be one of the most successful traitor hunters here.
I think that if not for the fact that, again, we don't know 100% the recruiting, I think they're recruiting. If they're not recruiting, Crystal's leaving the game. There's no way they leave Crystal in at that point. Again, Kuzi, I don't think really wants to go after the reality people right now because they haven't gotten out a reality traitor yet and they're hungry for that. So that's not going to happen. Crystal would very clearly be there. And we kind of got a similar confessional from Kuzi like we did last week with Gurpyar that I misread as a recruitment where she had said Gurpyar was bold and came in with clock and magic Mike immediately. That's a good read. Did the same thing here with Crystal. We get a Kuzi confessional. It wasn't rehearsed, but Crystal absolutely clocked it correctly. I was like, oh God, I don't love that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Crystal for the shield.
Ooh. I don't remember if she was in the group or not to say if she would be safe.
Crystal for the next shield. Wait.
She might have been. I don't know.
she was in the group for the shield. Yeah.
There we go.
But yeah. So okay. So then where else are we going? I scrolled up to look at that and then I lost my notes. Scally, you segue us out of here.
Ooh, what do we want to talk about? I mean, I think it was interesting seeing May also worry that she was going to be a target. Not just that she worried about people not believing about Rick, but actually thinking that the mistake of voting incorrectly at the last roundtable was going to put a target on her back, and that she just completely blew up her game, telling Crystal and Gerline and even a couple of other people that she thinks it's going to be a problem. Now, I did like from Crystal also being like, well, why did you do that? Do you have an alliance with Mel B? Like, what is this? It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very funny to me when Kevin was talking to May. And Kevin, because Rick had talked to Kevin about, hey, I think she was sabotaging the challenge. Like, I think that they think I'm bad and they don't want me to have safety. Kevin says, hey, Rick's telling people you're sabotaging the challenge. And May's like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to him. And then we get a confession from Kevin who says, when I see other people fight, it makes me happy. Kevin, relatable content, my friend, because when you said that, I knew I had to get my popcorn ready. It was going to be good.
Yes. First of all, thank you. Second of all, I do question this though, where Kevin was saying initially that he wants to keep the reality TV people in play, and we got to vote out, some of these civilians, and we need to, work together here. And yet he's now pitting two of them against each other. I think that them already being against each other, maybe he saw this as just kind of inevitable and wants to stoke these flames to make sure that it stays in this direction for the roundtable. But I'm wondering if there could have been, did we have to throw the fellow known people under the bus just yet?
Okay, so we've seen Kevin play another show where half of them were reality TV people, half of them were brand new. Kevin found his couple few, and then the rest kind of end up going by the wayside. Here's my theory. My theory, Scally, is that Kevin knows Kuzi's a traitor. Again, stretch of a theory. So listen, we're hosting these live. I want to make bold predictions. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's cool. But if Kevin knows that Kuzi is a traitor, because if you're Kevin, you're going in, you're like, okay, of the social strategy games of Big Brother and Survivor, one of us has to be a traitor. Erica died, got murdered. That sounds way harsher.
Whoa.
Erica was murdered. I'm not a traitor. Kuzi could be a traitor. Okay, Kuzi can stay. I don't want nothing to do with Kuzi. Like, Kuzi, we're tight. That's fine. Because that was also the alliance they had made. He's very close with Fierce. Fierce has a soft spot for him. So that's two. Mickey is there. Dom is there. Leroy is there. May and Rick are kind of arguing. If they both fight and you think the reality traitor is among them, you're not banishing little old Kevin, little poker star, Big Brother Canada 5 winner Kevin. If you want to get rid of a reality star, you're looking at those two first. So I feel like that also is good because it gives them safety from banishment at the very least.
We've also already lost 4 civilians from the show, so I think maybe the numbers are high enough where we could lose one of them. It's fine.
We will live. I mean, look at the board right now. Of the civilians, we've lost 4 of them. We've lost 1 reality person.
Yeah.
So gotta restore the balance, Scally, at some point.
Yeah, throw them one now, and then we'll take it back out later.
Yeah. So ultimately, when May goes to confront Rick about everything, May and Fierce versus Rick in a handicap match bout is what we got. And it was so funny because May's confronting him, and then Rick tries to respond, and Fierce is shutting it down. And Fierce is like, Rick is like, so I can't talk, only you two can talk. And this took me back to my grade 9 arguments, and it was a core memory unlocked tonight for me.
It was funny when they would turn the camera and you'd see that 6 other people are standing right near this all happening. Everyone's just looking. So that was funny. But yeah, again, Petty Rick is back, but Is anyone going to out petty Fierce? I don't know. So I thought that
It's a
watching the
challenge.
matchup was very fun.
Yeah. Also, and I don't think we'll ever really have the answer to this, but I feel like they got a steady supply of bevs at the manor is the vibe I'm getting. I feel like I've seen a lot of people holding a nice cold glass of beer, and I wonder how much of that is available and how much that could be contributing to some of the pettiness that we see.
Interesting. Yeah, I think a couple of these people are petty with or without bevs, but it wouldn't hurt.
It enhances the experience for sure. It can, like, for me, for example, I'm a relatively shy, quiet person, but one bev, two bev, I open up a little bit, and usually in a friendly manner, but I assume also in the other direction if I so please. So who knows?
Who knows indeed.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. One of those before the round table would be the move for me easily. Loosen me up.
Just loosen
like
you
I
up.
need it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So let's get to the round table then, shall we? Because while we do get banishment blue balls, we still get quite a bit of information, Scally.
Yeah, I love Fierce just once again opening the round table, immediately confronting Rick. Like, yeah, let's not actually waste any time. The conversation mostly was around how Rick said that he slept fabulous. No, wait, he slept terrible, but feels fabulous. And why did he feel the need to correct that and make that distinction? That's suspicious.
This is straight up the biggest thing with the traders. You have no information to go. There's no, like, you don't win clues in the challenge. You're going off of nothing. The man said, I feel fabulous. And they're like, why? How dare you feel fabulous this morning?
Yeah, he has no reason to feel fabulous. Yeah, I don't really get this. Again, one more time of just confirmation bias, looking for things to jump in on. I think more concrete would be something like Leroy saying that he think that there was a switch in Rick and he's just trying to like put his finger on it. Then veering into well, it's just something about how you like enter and leave conversations. Like Rick's like, I don't understand how that makes me suspicious or how that is a trait of a traitor, which I think is a valid question.
Absolutely valid question. I love that he also recommends, says, listen, if you banish me, you're banishing a faithful. And like, yeah, that's what Mel B said. I was like, and Colin. Like, Colin also said this.
Yeah, that's the problem is everyone wants you like, oh, well, you didn't say you were a faithful. That means we got to vote you out. But then it's like, well, I'm a faithful. It's like, well, that's what you would say if you were a traitor. It's like, okay, well, what do you want to say? Like, there's no way to defend myself against this mob. So that is really the dilemma that you find yourself in. On the traders, it takes more like active arguing, I think, is going to be better, where Rick brings up like, I wasn't throwing out names all day. I had 3 names and those were the same people I said all day. And you got to keep it like with more valid reasons. And I think Trevon actually brings this up, saying like the like proof needs to be backed up and it needs to be valid, only for Kevin then to jump in and be like, well, what about when you had no valid reason? Tron's like, yeah, don't worry about that.
I love when a TV show censors a word, but they don't censor the person's mouth so I can read what their lips. So when Kevin responds and says, well, actually, your reasons last night for me were pretty BS. I died. That was, listen, you don't want to be too vocal at these roundtables, but clap back when you can. And my God, Kevin, beautiful. That was great. I did love that real quick. Can we talk about more Petty Rick with Leroy? Because I was living for this.
Please,
so Leroy's talking about how he felt a little bit of a switch with Rick, and he noticed that Rick goes into a conversation, does his chat real quick, and then leaves, which can be a little suspect to him. And then Rick says, hey, what makes that a traitor's trait? And Leroy doesn't respond. And then he's like, yeah, see, Leroy, you're not thinking. I need you to think. I was like, oh, God.
I think Rick and Leroy seemed like they were boys early on, at least in Rick's head. And Leroy has voiced some suspicion of Rick, but again, like, I don't blame Rick where you think like, I am giving you concrete proof and it's not clicking for you. Like, I'm going to get frustrated.
But you didn't have to cut me off. Yeah, trouble in Rick and Leroy Paradise, it seems. It really went like one episode, it looked like they were buddies, and then since then, they've been on the opposite side of each other completely. So maybe we were wrong. Maybe we misread that more so. So who knows? Ultimately, Kuzi does say it looks like May and Fierce in confessional says, looks like May and Fierce are looking like traitors to her. They are loud and they are wrong, which again, May, Fierce, put them on the short list for that recruitment if Rick is gone. So yeah.
I mean, does being loud and wrong make you look like a traitor? Is that something that like generally is a sign of suspicion? Because I don't feel like the people that are proactively loud and wrong are generally the traitors, drawing attention to themselves for no reason, going after wrong targets.
I think if you go after wrong targets, I want to leave you in so that you get wrong targeted too. Because that's kind of the chain of suspicion where you're really vocal about someone, you were wrong, we look at you next. If you were very suspicious of someone, you were right, you're kind of safe now. And I'm not really looking at you anymore.
Yep, that's kind of how I feel. I think that I think you could stretch and see how May is making herself more suspicious, but like with Fierce, it's a pattern at this point. Like, you know, she's gonna say what she thinks, and you know, that doesn't indicate traitor or faithful necessarily for me. If anything, more faithful.
Yeah, if for whatever reason, again, Rick survives, you recruit Rick. And then, but then May and Fierce will look innocent if they vote out Rick. So then are we wrong?
I mean, if you were to recruit May,
and then May gets voted out.
Well, have Rick get voted out. Oh no, Rick was a faithful. That May, she set us on the wrong path. Have her get voted out.
And then you're looking at Fierce. You're like, May and Fierce have been kind of tight. Kind of tight. So
yeah, are you playing 3 moves in advance? I think Kuzi might be.
I mean, I feel like Kuzi talked a lot about a recruitment when a banishment has not yet happened. So she is thinking ahead, which I do love to see. Okay, so then Mary's one of the ones that starts sussing Trevon about the whole job thing. It's like, how is a PR person saying you're a PR person over being a server affecting your game? And why would you bring it up now? This doesn't make sense at all. And then I noticed both Kuzi and Mike started hopping on this suspicion, which is why I think they both realized we need Rick to stay. We need Rick to stay. Let's keep Rick. That needs to happen.
Yeah, I think it's the thing of Rick will make himself a target again, like Will Trevon. Like he has this one thing that was a huge mistake, and if we don't capitalize on it right now, he's slipping right back under that radar and becoming someone we need to waste a murder on. So let's vote him out now, and then we can vote out Rick next time, or the next time, or the next time. Like he'll continue to be suspicious.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that Kevin in confessional says, I don't think Trevon's a traitor. I think he's the worst faithful in the history of the show. Now, Scally, we have watched plenty of English-speaking traitors. Is Trevon the worst faithful in the history of the show?
No, I can name like 30 worse. Like there are so many worse. Like it's not great, but it's like an average faithful at this point. You had one wrong, one loud wrong suspicion. That's average.
I can name at least like 4 from each franchise easily that are worse. Now, second question. Is Trevon the worst faithful amongst the bunch here?
I mean, it depends how you're defining it. I feel like there's probably some faithfuls. I don't know. Dom has been loud and wrong, and then also not really, at least on the show, actively trying to hunt other people, which is, you know, not a great faithful. Whereas you could then point, you know, it's hard to determine where we're not seeing some of them, but like, has Gerline even been trying to find out traitors? We don't know. So Fierce is loud and wrong quite a bit too. So, but that's benefiting her own game by not getting murdered because she is loud and wrong. So, yeah.
I think being loud and wrong is one thing. Being loud and wrong and then being such a faithful that you're not getting banished only to put yourself in a spot where you are going to get banished or could be banished is bad. So, because obviously I think a lot of the ones we would have named would have been faithfuls who just blindly get to the end and were wrong the whole way, but stay alive. But you know what's more dumb than that is doing all that and then still getting banished. Not even murdered, just banished.
Are you a bad faithful in that you are playing the game poorly for yourself, or in that you are a bad team player for the faithfuls? And I think that's how most people are talking about it.
I think for yourself first, then for the team. Because obviously,
yeah.
If you at least have a shot to redemption, if you get to a final 5, final 6, and you've been wrong all the way, there's still a modicum of chance that you end up picking the right person to banish, and boom, you were right. So that's still redemption. Your redemption arc ends if you get banished, especially when a couple episodes ago, they were thinking of murdering Trevon because he is a faithful that no one's going to second guess.
Yeah, but if I'm calling you a bad faithful, it's because you're a bad team member to me, not because you are not setting yourself up well for the game. I don't care how you're setting yourself up
I
for the
don't
game.
care how you do if I'm a bad faithful. I'm here to ruin. Listen, I'm here for me, Scally. I'm not here for you.
Yeah, well, I'm saying if I'm Kevin, like I am saying you are not a good teammate, and that's why I'm calling you a bad faithful. Like, yeah, you might be a good player, but like in terms of a faithful teammate, like that is why I'm calling you a bad faithful.
And you put my name down last week or last banishment for no reason. So if I feel like for Kevin also, there's that addition of you had no reason to put me down. That was stupid. And I got out MLB and you got out nobody. Congratulations. So
I mean, Kevin's someone that knows, and I think a lot of people at this point have caught on to, like, we're going to banish a lot of faithfuls throughout this game at some point. Better to be a faithful who will say my name next round than a faithful that won't. You know,
Yeah.
So even if I don't think he is a traitor, ultimately, who cares? He's not working with me next round either way.
I can't wait to eventually watch a season of the Traitors where it's just every banishment is either a traitor or a traitor that was recruited, and it's just like 6 episodes in a row of a traitor going, but they keep re-upping, so it just never ends.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's like, oh my god, we have to do a recruitment and a murder like every episode because there's no time to just do straight recruitments anymore.
Right. Yeah, but don't traitors want to keep bad faithfuls? Absolutely. You need bad faithfuls all around, especially bad faithfuls that do not say your name. If you don't say my name, be the worst faithful in all the land. I do not care because you're wrong, and eventually you'll say the wrong person's name and they'll get you banished anyway. So that's fine by me. But if you're a bad faithful that even lands on my name once, I'm sorry, but you must get banished sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, you want to keep loud bad faithfuls. You also don't want to keep quiet bad faithfuls. So someone who's sitting there doing nothing and not contributing, I don't care if they're not throwing me out because they're not also going to get voted out in many regards.
But also not a loud, bad, influential faithful either. Because again, if you're influential and you're constantly wrong, that's cool until you say my name. Then it's bad. Now you have influence on your shoulder too. That might not be good for me. Although that influence does get knocked down every time you guess someone wrong. So maybe if you've done it for, I mean, oh Lord, yes, I don't want to revisit some of my bad dreams here. Okay, so we start the votes here. Rick voted for Trevon. Crystal voted for May. Mary voted Trevon. And then May voted Rick, and in brackets said, I'm not sorry, with not underlined. Getting that petty showdown 1-1 now. And then Trevon voted Rick, and the episode ends. So we end with a 2-2-1, Scally.
The I'm not sorry was wild. Like, I'm living for it, but I don't know where it's like, are we good? Are we personally good? Also, I'm not sorry, and I don't care at all that you're going home. Like, oh, like I live for that petty, and I wish that there was more of that on TV these days.
I cannot wait to see where they're at post-show. I'm not digging. I'm not looking. I will ask at the exit interview, and then we'll see where they are because I'm so curious. Because I think both of them are really nice people, and I feel like they're both really friendly people. Just got caught up in this moment of it's you or me, and it's not going to be me. So,
yeah, I think so too. I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah. So ultimately, we see on the next time on, Kuzi wants to recruit. Mike is hesitant to recruit. And Kuzi's like, well, I haven't heard. He's like, I haven't heard your name. She's like, yeah, well, I've heard your name, Mike. So we need to get somebody in here, which I think is a good move. They should do that. And then we see Mary saying that she's suspicious of someone's erratic behavior, but we do not see who that is.
Ooh, who do you think it could be?
Oh Lord. So Mary's been talking about a couple people. It could be Travon. I could see it being true because again, I gotta imagine it's someone who didn't leave, and I can't say it's Rick because Rick could maybe leave, May could maybe leave, but I don't think Travon's going anywhere. So
yeah, that's fair. I could see it being Mike. There's been a couple things don't add up. I could also see his acting ability maybe faltering in the next episode, but yeah, Rick and May obviously on the table, so who knows.
Yeah. All right. Well then, Scally, let's quickly tuck into some questions that were sent to us in the chat as we've been chit-chatting here, accumulating a couple questions. Number one question, and I saved this when I saw the question because we didn't talk about it. I figured we'd just leave it till now. From Neil, was that biker outfit amazing or fabulous?
Ooh.
We're saying this every episode. I'll say it again. Kareen is serving every look, every episode. And I would say it was, why not both? Amazing and fabulous.
Ooh. See, I was going to go with this was amazing while the round table outfit was fabulous. If we had to categorize.
Hey, hence both. So I'm also technically right. Both fabulous and amazing. Yeah, there's not been one look that I've not liked. So I'm happy so far. Ultimately, the next question I want to go to is from Batman. Batman says, what is this season's Traitors missing so far that you wish was there? Is there something or more of? So what is it missing? What would we like to see more of or less of or anything like that so far?
I mean, I don't have too many complaints. Yeah, I think maybe a little more balance in the airtime for everybody would be nice. But, before today, I would have probably said the Shield, and finally that's shown up. So I have very few complaints. What about you?
I'm happy. I mean, my biggest quote thing that I wish there was more of is episodes in the week. I feel like the one episode, it's kind of like I went to a restaurant and I ordered a meal and I'm like, you know what? I could eat another half a meal potentially. Like I'm still kind of hungry. I could still have a little bit more. Like it's like that worked. I can leave the restaurant satisfied, but I want to be like very satisfied, and I'm not very satisfied with the amount I got. I'm a big food guy, if you can't tell. I might be a little hungry, so this might be impacting my answer. But really, that's the one thing, because otherwise, drama, we have it. Suspicions, we have it. Fire roundtables, we have it. Minimal on the challenges, cool, we have that. I'm loving the Traitors conversations we're getting. I think the confessionals have been good. I wish it was a little bit more balanced, but again, given that it's one episode a week, you really can't, we can't have everybody getting content. So that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know. I kind of like, oops, all appetizers, just the one episode a week coming in, getting to speculate for a full week, I think has been fun and a different way to watch it. If we were getting the whole season, on US, sure, that's a fun, nice long binge, but 3 episodes a week, 2 episodes a week, whatever, all feels a little bit arbitrary. So I'm having fun, just attacking it one at a time still.
All right, there we go. Scally keeping the optimism here, and I love it. All right. And then we got another question here. Would it not be a great idea to recruit Kevin at this point? This is from Cam. I think Kevin's not the right move for the objective that Kuzi has laid out. If Kuzi's plan is to get someone in and out immediately, I think Kevin's the worst option from the reality TV people, because I think Kevin is probably the most clear of the reality TV people of not being a traitor. And I think he gets the most credit for the Mel B boot.
I have said I don't want someone on my team that I think could outplay me, and so I think that the minute you recruit Kevin, he is also going to be thinking, when is it the right time to betray the people that just recruited me? So yeah. I don't want that on my team. I want to always have more information than Kevin, because even with less information, I'm still intimidated by his reads. So I would not go Kevin personally.
Yeah, I think ultimately Kevin is someone that if I start as a traitor with, I'm more likely to be pumped, because I'm like, okay, Kevin and I can start building a foundation. And if we don't backstab each other, we're like a unit, that works. But if Kevin comes in anytime after that, it benefits Kevin more than it benefits you, especially now that he's positioned himself to be in the right side of a vote and has started culminating some friendships and relationships that we're seeing. Because at any point, if he says, you know what, that Kuzi, I feel like Kuzi could be someone to look at. And then that is when you're in trouble. So I feel like you keep him away for the right now. And then one last question before we head on out. Do you think any of the Faithfuls games were a little rattled because they came in with the aim of being a traitor and have now had to readjust accordingly? Well, we will be asking this question in every exit interview we get to see where they really want it to land. But I do definitely think there's a part of it because you don't know. You basically have a 50-50 shot at a role. You don't know where it is. And typically, when you fantasize about being on a reality show, you fantasize dominating. No one's like, oh yeah, I'm struggling, I'm losing all the comps, I'm on the block. You never think that way. In your narrative, you are the main character. You just won a clutch comp. You just blindsided the biggest target. Do. So if you're fantasizing about being on the show, more often than not, you're fantasizing as a traitor. Unless you have zero interest in being a traitor, then you fantasize about being a faithful and like trying to figure that out. But I feel like everyone's fantasizing about being that main character, Scally.
Yeah, for me, it's like when I get there and I'm a traitor, this is what I need to prepare for, and that is how I'm studying the game going into it. So I do think it could throw people off. I don't think people are probably preparing equally. I think that people are going in there and they're like, all right, and worst comes to worst, if I'm a faithful, like I'll figure it out then. What could I do? What could I prepare for? And I'll just be myself. And that doesn't always work. I think that there are some things that you can do, but everyone thinks they're gonna be the star of the season.
Exactly. And now, Scally, I'm gonna hit you with a couple quick fire questions, and I want you to not think, just answer. Okay. I want you to pull a Leroy. Don't think about it. Just say it. Okay. Hey, Rick said that, not me. So Leroy wasn't me. Okay. Who's getting banished at the start of the episode?
Rick.
Who is getting recruited?
May.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, we had the same answers. Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I want Rick to stick around, and I think that it would be fun. Not to say that I want Trevon to go by any means, because I think he has also been very fun on this season. But I don't know. It's what I feel.
Okay. Yeah. I think I feel like that's probably what's gonna happen as well. I think if Trevon leaves, ultimately it'll be very interesting with a Rick versus May 2.0. Only now one of them is a recruited traitor. I think that would be fun to watch. But yeah, we'll see where we land next week, folks. We got quite a bit to get to next week. The remainder of this cliffhanger, and then hopefully, I'm really hoping we do full cycle next round and we end the episode post banishment, pre-murder. I would love that, but I'll have to wait and see. I think so too.
I think we will get my prediction is murder, recruitment, banishment, all in next episode.
Yeah, I would hope so. So jam-packed episode coming your way. Episode 6 should be a good one. But for now, for tonight, I think we are done and dusted here in Traitors Tower. Scally, let the people know where they can find you. What are the projects you have going on at the moment?
Ooh, people can find me on Twitter at Brian_Scally or on Twitch at twitch.tv/bscally. I am covering the upcoming, this week starting, season 39 of The Challenge with Matt Ligori over on our brand new feed called The Free Agents Podcast. If you search Free Agents Challenge, it should very easily show up, or basically anything else that should show up at this point. Very appreciative of anyone who has jumped on and subscribed there already or left a review. And then also covering The Devil's Plan with Chappelle over on Nothing But Netflix, trying to finish that out this week. So because I have been very busy, but it has been killing me not to finish that as fast as possible. So very excited to finish that out.
Yeah, you're showing a lot of restraint as someone who has already completed the season like 2 weeks ago at this point, it feels like.
Yeah. If I had any time, I would credit it to restraint. But yeah, that's what I would say.
All right. Well, Scally, always a good time with you. and I wouldn't want to go on this journey with anybody else. I would definitely not turn on you and get you banished.
Oh, good. Yeah, I hope that you don't, betray me, recruit someone else. Can't wait to finish out this journey strong.
Notice, everybody, notice how he didn't say, yeah, I wouldn't do it either. Notice he would do it, and he wouldn't blink twice. No hesitation. Stone Cold.
I said nothing.
Yes, they call him Stone Cold Scally, just so you know. All right. Y'all can find me, of course, on Twitter at Pooyaism. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Pooya. That is where I am when I am not podcasting. So come through and say hi. Would appreciate it. As far as podcasts go, 90 Day Fiance has been a very fun week so far. I recorded season 10, episode 3 with the lovely Chappelle today. I'm recording the next episode of The Other Way with my co-host right here tomorrow. So that'll be out for you as well sometime soon. And Masked Singer's been a fun time so far. Liana and I have been having a good time talking about that. And also 2 weeks of Big Brother left. Couple live feed updates, couple recaps, and then we're done for the season. But until then, of course, you can find me Friday mornings at 11 a.m. talking about the live feeds with Taryn Armstrong. We hope you all had fun with us today. One last thing, if you could please go and leave a rating and review over on our page. This feed has really started, but a couple months ago. It's still in its infancy. We opened up this summer, so the more reviews we get, the more people can find the podcast, and also getting your review and feedback would mean a lot to us. So please go ahead, go on over to robbinswebsite.com/traitors. That's TRAITORS. And your 5 stars are appreciated, but hey, be honest with us. Give us the stars you feel we deserve. 5 of them. All right. Anyway, thank you so much. We hope you had fun. From Traitors Tower, I am Pooya, and me and Scally bid you adieu. We will see you next week. Bye.